time for Cigar Talk, the fastest growing cigar show in the nation.
Welcome back to Cigar Talk. I'm your host, Rob Jones. We got the one and only Brian Hancock. I know I said your name wrong because I actually forgot it, but I know there's something about cock in it.
There is something about cock in it.
What is your last name?
Will Coxon.
Will Coxon. See, I was close.
Close.
So, hey, man, thanks for filling in for Bryant. We were scheduled to record tonight, and because family stuff comes up, you know.
That's
so
it.
He wasn't able to be here tonight, so we appreciate you filling in at the last second, too.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
It's like, you know, hanging out smoking cigars.
Heck yeah. Anytime.
We appreciate that. So let's go ahead and talk about what we're smoking, get that out of the way.
I am smoking the Tabanero Habano.
Oh, great stick. Now you're smoking the Toro.
Yes.
Because I know you love the Robusto, and we had a big conversation about that just last night.
Yep.
And it's like, and I said, I like all three of the Vitolas.
I think the Toro is my favorite right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. See, mine's the Robusto, but it pains me not to get a Toro just because I know it'll last longer.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But I don't care. I mean, it doesn't bother me to light one up as soon as I'm done.
And Toro Connecticut all the way. I haven't even tried the Robusto Connecticut yet.
Oh, yeah. Dude, both of those are fantastic. I've done both of those multiple times.
Yeah.
So, and I'm smoking the Viva La Vida Jester. I mean, I love this stick. This is, you know, the Jester is like a version of a Robusto on steroids because it's a big Robusto.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, really, it's Robusto in length, but not in girth.
Right.
Or ring gauge.
More of a Toro ring gauge, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. But it's a great blend. It's always great construction, and I just love everything that Viva La Vida does. And you know, are you aware that they only make one blend?
Yes.
So I think that is genius to do as a new company.
Now, I thought maybe the Club 500 is a slightly different blend than the rest of the line.
I don't know that to be fact, but the owners told me it was the same blend.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, you might have some inside scoop and they're not telling the truth. No, I'm
Right.
just kidding you. No, that's the whole kicker for them is all of it's the same blend. So, you know, AJ made it. And did you know that? AJ
Yes.
blended it. And AJ actually produces it. And then it's still Billy and Gus's cigar company. And but now AJ actually distributed it for them also.
Nice.
Which was a huge thing, but that's a hats off to them for what a great cigar it turned out to be.
That's great. It's one of my favorites.
So anyway, and I'm drinking the Wild Turkey 101. Larry's drinking the old Bottle and Bond Dickel, and you're drinking water.
Nice, refreshing water.
You know what? I've been trying to drink more water because I'm one of those guys that I thought drinking unsweet tea was the same as drinking water.
No.
Yeah, that's what my doctor said. He's like, no, it's a diuretic. And I'm like, oh. So now I'm drinking this Propel that has flavor to it. It's not a lot of flavor, but I'm not a big fan of just water.
Right. Something subtle that'll help you keep drinking it.
Yeah, so that's what I've switched to when I'm not drinking bourbon. I still drink a lot of tea and a lot of coffee, but I try to slip one of those in here time to time.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're going to talk about a couple of our sponsors right quick. We have Jay down at the Leaf that, you know, we had Vic over here last night from Cigars for Warriors. Have you met him?
Yes.
Okay, so he was up here last night, and I haven't said, as a consumer going to the Leaf, I mean, you've been to other lounges. How does it stack up?
There's no comparison.
I mean, and it's so funny because we're so blessed to just happening to have it here.
Exactly. I was just right down the road. Can go there every day. I'm there almost every day. I love it. There's just nothing better.
And, you know, it's kind of weird to talk about your home shop like that so much, but it's like, if it wasn't my home shop, I'd be driving to wherever this place is.
Right.
And the way I described the Havana room in the back, it is truly like the one place on earth where I feel as comfortable as I do when I'm in my own living room.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes even more so.
Oh, yeah. Because my wife's not there getting me to do honeydews.
Exactly. I don't have to do dishes at the Leaf.
Right. So, and if you guys haven't ordered from them, if you can go in person, you got to have the experience. And that's what Jay is all about, is the experience.
100%.
And so if you get the opportunity to go by there in person, you definitely got to do that. But if you need to order cigars, and the great thing is they carry both of our sponsors, which is Tabanero Cigars and McAuliffe Cigars. And his service, just because you're not there in person, he still makes it as best experience as you can. He gets it out the same day. He puts Boveda packs in it. And, other people I know who have made those orders have told me that he takes care of them like they've never been taken care of before.
Exactly. Your cigars are ready to smoke as soon as they hit your mailbox.
And that's a big bonus. Look down the show notes, and his phone number is right there. Just call him up, make an order. You'll probably talk to Scott, Alan, Casey, or Jay, or Dwayne. Did I miss one? Colton. Also Colton. So give them a call and see what they got, man. They got a humidor that's like
Noah's Ark.
Yes, it's huge.
Except there's 4 of everything.
Right. So anyway, check them out. And then also I want to talk about Case Elegance. I've got the Octador. It's amazing humidor. Bryant has the Foot Locker, the military. And dude, I'm almost jealous that he got that one over me.
Right.
But then Larry got the travel humidor.
And I saw that yesterday.
Look right there.
It's gorgeous.
Dude, it's amazing.
It's freaking awesome.
And there's nobody else making one that looks like that.
No.
And it's well thought out with the magnetic pouches, so you don't have to worry about your stuff flying around inside the bag. It's got even a flap for your cigars, and each one of those cigars is in its own little ridge.
Absolutely. And little holders for your cutters and lighters.
And your humidification at the top.
Absolutely.
So
it's great. And he just gave me a couple of good sticks.
Right? Hell yeah.
Give it back.
Thank you, Larry.
So... And then also, we wanted you guys to go by the guys over at Case Elegance. If you go to their website, and that link will be in the show notes as well, they actually started doing like a information type podcast for their own products. And it's just the two founders sitting around smoking cigars, having a drink, and talking shop.
Awesome.
And I love that, when you get that close to company owners, you get to know them. You get to know what's behind the product. And I love doing business when I get to know who's selling me the product. I want to know those people.
Absolutely.
If I'm giving you my money, I want to know who you are.
That's right.
So look down the show notes, and you can go by and check out their products. So coming up next, we've got the Pick 6 of the week. And then after that, we're going to go to break, and we're going to have the Katman. He's been writing cigar reviews for over 10 years. He started smoking cigars in 1968. That's a year before I was born.
So 13 years before I was born? 14? Yeah, 13.
I was like, dude, smoking cigars way back then, that was basically like the beginning. That's like the prehistoric age of cigars.
Right.
Because really, cigars didn't really start catching a hold until the late 80s into the 90s. Big time. And then, so going back to the 60s, I can't even imagine. And I would imagine all of them, I'm going to have to ask, but I imagine all of them were like Robustos and Petite Robustos. You know what I mean? Because most of the cigars back then, these big cigars is all new.
Right.
In the last 15 years.
Even the Churchills?
Well, not lengthwise.
Okay.
But gauge-wise.
Right.
Like the 54s and up. You would have not found any of those 30 years ago.
Oh, I would have been happy if they had stayed that way.
Right? Yeah, you're not impressing me by showing me how big it is. So, anyway, let's go ahead and let you get started with your 3 first, and I'll be looking over my list.
All right. So, I got my top 3 in no particular order. Is the Somber Misa Brulee by Steve Saka.
Dude, that's a great stick.
It's
now,
great.
I say that. I don't know for sure which one. Is that the blue or the red?
No, that is the Connecticut.
Oh, okay. I've never had that one.
It's great. Now, you're going to have to give it an honest chance. It is a sweet tip, but it's a very, very subtle sweet tip.
And how long does that sweetness last?
Just a couple of drags.
I mean, it doesn't.
It does
You
not.
know,
Stay
I
through.
could never. I don't care how light it is. If it's the entire smoke,
No.
it can't go that way.
Maybe an inch.
Okay.
Maybe an inch. And the one that I had the Churchill. Scott and I actually smoked the Churchill together Thursday when they got them, and it was a 2 hour and 15-minute smoke.
Wow.
We smoked those things all morning long.
No kidding.
Past lunch.
Wow.
It was great. That was my first. No, that was my third Saka, but the first one that I've been able to get at the Leaf.
Well, the Sombra Misa also comes. You know, I know I've got it completely wrong. It's the Mi Carissa Trackaticato, something like that.
Tricky Traka.
There you go. That's what I said.
I smoked one of those too.
I do like those.
That's
I'm a
great
big
stuff.
fan of those. And I'm pretty much a fan. I've never had the I can't remember.
Bagog.
Yeah.
Great smoke.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. See, I
Loved it.
wanted to try those, but I haven't seen them.
Yeah.
And I was like, I like everything else Steve does. So, why would I think I don't like this one?
A friend of mine sent me one of those with a little 5-pack that he sent me.
Nice.
And it was excellent. He sent me that and a unicorn as well.
Wow. You got a good friend.
I do.
So have you smoked the Sin Compromiso?
Not yet. That's the only one I haven't touched.
I think you really like that one because I know a lot of what you smoke.
Right.
And to me, it's a mild medium. You know what I mean? It's a medium, but it's a mild medium, but the flavors are just amazing. Right off the bat, the wrapper is a real dark, oily, thick wrapper.
Nice.
And it has a little bit of like dark chocolate to it.
Nice.
And so you're like, pour me a good cup of coffee, no sweeteners, and it pairs perfectly.
It is definitely on the list of things to smoke.
Every time I come across one, I always buy a couple.
Right. That's the problem is they're kind of hard to find.
They are hard to find.
All right. For my number 2, I got the Perdomo Habano Barrel Aged Connecticut.
Wow, 2 Connecticut's in a row for
2
you.
Connecticut's in a row.
Well, I know you've been like trying those out.
On a Connecticut kick.
And dude, isn't it like a whole new level?
Yes.
I mean, it's like, forever I remember I was like, I don't smoke Connecticut's. And then when I finally had burned myself out from just going hardcore nicotine bombs, full strength, and it was like, I got to do something different. So I went all the way back to the beginning of where you should start,
right,
and started working my way through it. And you know what? I'm glad I did it that way. Absolutely. Because it's to me, it makes you appreciate those cigars so much more because you know what you've had, but a new guy, he may enjoy it, but he doesn't get it.
Right.
He will, but not yet.
No, it's a smoking experience.
Right.
But I didn't go Connecticut all the way, but Perdomo Pat was in the Leaf last week, and he gifted me a stick. He asked me what I wanted, and I said a Connecticut. Just surprised me. And he handed me that, and smoked it the next morning. It's in my top 5 now.
Wow.
I've smoked 4 more since.
Now, you're not talking, are you talking top 5 Connecticut?
Top 5
okay.
Connecticut's, not top 5 all.
Well, see, I thought that's where you were going. I was like, holy shit, can
It's
I get
not
a box?
quite there. It's not quite there, but it's pretty good.
That's awesome.
Really been digging that a lot. Had one of those this morning, as a matter of fact. That was my coffee cigar for the day.
You know what? I didn't get up till like 11, and I did actually have 1 cup of coffee and a cigar, but it was at 11.
Well, that's what time I started to. 10.
Well, I was up till 2 a.m. editing the show that came out this morning. So I was like, I'm sleeping. And I woke up. Whew. How old are your kids?
10.
Let me tell you what, it just doesn't ever get easier. It becomes way more expensive.
Well, I'm sure.
But my daughter's car had an issue. So I told her, just come over to the house. You can drive mom's car to work in the morning, and then we'll go take care of your car when you get off.
Right.
And so at 6:30 this morning, my wife's phone's blowing up. My daughter's at work, but she's forgot her keys to open the building
Uh-oh.
that she's opening for the business. And I mean, the whole time I'm just laying there listening to my wife go crazy looking for these keys. And I'm like, see, me, I have a policy. Lack of planning on your part does not create an emergency for me.
There you go.
So I'm just like rolling back over and going to sleep. And
Gets
so
you when I have time.
yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. Well, like my daughter was having me do some stuff for her earlier today, and I was like, you realize you're on my time now. You're asking me to do things.
Right.
So, all right.
All right. Number 3 is what I'm smoking right now.
Oh, dude.
Habanero Habano. I smoked one right now. I smoked one last night. I gifted one to a friend of mine. He came through town for just a couple of minutes, stopped by the Leaf, grabbed a couple of cigars, and I decided I'm going to buy him one of these and send him on the road.
Dude, how many people have you seen smoke those that didn't think they were out of sight?
I haven't met or seen a person smoke one and say anything bad about it. Or
every
anything
time
but
I
it.
see someone smoking one, they go on and on about it. The burn, the draw's perfect every time. The blend is just lights out.
Perfect.
I mean, to me, that's what a cigar should be right there.
100%.
You know what I mean? I know I'm going to get this great blend. I'm going to have no issues because I want a cigar that I don't want to think about.
Exactly.
And I think about it whenever I puff and retrohale and go, damn, that's good.
That's a good cigar.
But
Puts you in a
if I
zen
got to
mood.
mess with it, I would rather just stand outside with a 250-pound football player kicking me in the balls.
There you go.
You know what I mean? So anyway, I'm going to do my top 3 this week. And, you know, we're probably going to have just a little bit of overlap, maybe not particular cigars, but brand. And because I've also been on a huge Tabanero kick, and for me, Tabanero was like, I had messaged them on Instagram, and I was like, I see all the videos, man. You got rollers in your shop rolling your cigars. And he's like, yeah, they're defectors from Cuba. And I was like, that's badass. And they're in Ybor City. And I was like, man, I'd love to try your cigars. And he was like, no problem. I'll send you a 5-pack. He sends me this 5-pack. I start smoking through these cigars. And I mean, right out of the gate, I knew I was going to make him a sponsor of the show because I was like, that's it. I mean, to me, that's like when you find the Holy Grails.
Right.
And with cigars, there's more than one. But we all look for those. And when you find it, I mean, had you ever heard of Tabanero?
Never.
I don't know. I've never heard of them in my life. And whenever he said he would send me a 5-pack, I've had tons of cigar companies that send me 5-packs, and I don't even mention it on the show because I don't want to be ugly.
Right.
I mean, if you send me free cigars, I'm not going to throw you under the bus on the show, but I'm also not going to talk about them. And I'm not going to beg you to be a sponsor.
No, they got to hit a criteria.
Right. And we have a certain level, which is amazing that we have the people that we have supporting us because they are way much higher level than what we are.
100%.
And so anyway, Tabanero, I was smoking the Connecticut and I was smoking the Robusto, and I go back and forth all the time. And I actually have in my humidor, and I'm going to give you one, is the Connecticut Torpedo.
Awesome.
And it's a Toro and a half. You know, torpedoes are normally a torpedo.
Right.
And so anyway, let me know what you think of that. I think, and I'll tell you this, I smoked the Tabanero Connecticut before I smoked any other blend. And I fell in love with that first.
Just the Connecticut.
Right. I
was
hadn't
the
even
first one that I
smoked the other ones. And then whenever I had the opportunity to smoke the Habanos, that just kicked it up like 50 notches because I was like, these are two great cigars and they don't compete with each other because they have two different completely smoking profiles, and they're both good for particular moods.
Definitely.
I mean, I don't know about you, but is that how you smoke? Like, what kind of mood
Yes. Yeah, I'm definitely a mood smoker. It definitely takes a particular mood now for me to smoke a Maduro. That used to be my go-to.
Dude, I
Morning, noon, or
rarely
night.
smoke Maduros now.
But now I have to be in a real particular mood to smoke a Maduro.
Wow. Same here.
Yeah,
And, like you said, that was my go-to.
absolutely.
The darker and oilier it was, I was like, I don't care what it is. I want to smoke that.
Right.
And now I rarely go very dark.
No, unless I just want a powerhouse stick. Something I know is going to knock
Like
me
the
on my
Liebes
butt.
1922.
Exactly.
I smoked that in the, is it a Corona or Petite Corona? But anyway, I love that. But you get that full blast, but it doesn't last for an hour and a half.
Right.
Because I don't want to be blown away for an hour and a half. I'm not even going to go there. But anyway, I've been trying to clean up our act around here.
Just a little.
I gave Larry and Bryant this speech, and I said, you know what? Let's try to clean up the show and not drop as many sexual innuendos and F-bombs. And then when I was done talking, I go, really, I'm just talking to myself because I know y'all aren't the ones doing it. So anyway, and then number 2 this week was one that, I mean, I revisit this stick at least 1 to 2 times, sometimes 3 times a month. The AJ Fernandez Cameroon New World. Have you had that?
Yes.
That is a silky smooth cigar.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it so much because it is a very smooth in profile, but the wrapper is like silky smooth oil.
Yeah.
And it just, AJ, every time it's just like, you're getting a great cigar if it has his name on it.
Hits it out of the park.
I mean, even if you look at his cheaper lines, like the, the last call, those are great sticks.
Especially if you get them at the leaf, because those have some age on them.
Oh, yeah. Jay's got some treasures in there that people don't know about.
Definitely.
That have been in there for years.
And the last call is one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And then my last stick was, I actually had the Romacraft Cro-Magnon in the Aquitaine. Now, have you ever smoked those?
Bunch.
That's a pretty strong stick for me now.
It is. Yeah.
And I used to smoke the Cro-Magnon, just the black label, all the time. And like now, that's, I mean, I got to be drunk to smoke that one.
Yeah. I was a Neanderthal, the orange band.
And see, I smoke those too, but they're pricey compared to the black band. So I pretty much smoke those. But now the Aquitaine and even the Intemperance is more my speed.
Right.
Like, because the Aquitaine's still a full body.
It's a stout stick.
But it's not as much as the other. But I hadn't smoked that in a while. And so I was like, you know what? I'll try one of those again. And it was a very good smoke.
Nice.
And so, but anyway, man, that's going to wrap up the Pick 6 for the week. We're going to go to a little break. When we come back, we will have the Katman who does these cigar reviews. I'm going to have to send you his link. And for everybody else, I'll have a link in the show notes to Katman cigar reviews because you've never read reviews like his. And it's not just because he's 150% honest, which is why a lot of people in the cigar industry probably don't care for him too much. But, I mean, if you're reading reviews, that's what you want is honesty.
Absolutely.
But the other thing is he sprinkles in his humor. He sprinkles in stories of him on tour back in the 60s and 70s with the whole, dude, I got to show you a picture. I don't know what year it was. I think it was like 74. He's on stage with this bass, and I promise you his afro is this big. And he's got this big-ass mustache.
Nice.
And so, anyway, he puts all these stories, and I'm like, man, I enjoy reading the review. And his reviews are somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,500 to 4,000 words.
Dang.
So it's a read.
That's a read.
Yeah. So anyway, guys, we'll be right back after a quick break with the Katman. Hey guys, thanks for hanging through the break. We have a special guest with us today, They call him the Katman. He writes weekly cigar reviews. He's been doing it for over 10 years, 12 years. And the guy started smoking cigars in 1968. That's before I was born, and you guys know I'm old. And then he joined a rock band, went all over the world, and now he's writing cigar reviews every week, and he's really an outsider looking in because he just tells the truth. Always tells the truth. And then, you know what? I got a great story after we get to talking about how I came to know Philip. It was very interesting. So anyway, I'm gonna
biblically?
No, not biblically, but
Okay.
very interesting the same. So how are you, man?
I'm good. I look very tired and pale. I live in Wisconsin and Milwaukee, so being a California boy who was tan all the time most of my life, Wisconsin has drained all the blood from my face. And I also haven't slept in a long time. Issues with an old skydiving accident, and this is what you look like if you don't sleep for months. So I'm just going to take and...
You're right. So, yeah, and I asked him, I was like, hey, man, did you get any sleep last night? And he's like, yeah, I slept good. For 2 hours. So...
Yeah, that's all I'm getting.
Hey, so what is it that you're lighting up there, Phil?
It's a Padron 1947. I bought it new when I was 18.
Nice. I was going to say, did you buy that while you were on a cruise?
I wanted to bring a cigar on the show that was the most phallic example of a old tube of tobacco that I could think of. Plus, it's a little Tony Soprano-ish, too.
Yeah, it really is. That's what is that? About a 6 by 56? Oh,
no, it's at least 7.
Oh, 7.
7 inches, something I've never seen.
Me neither.
Personally, But I don't remember. I took the band off it, and now I don't remember what it was.
Ah, gotcha. Well, it looks like a probably a medium to full, like a Habano, or because it's not quite Maduro. You're puffing up.
Can you dial 911 for me?
Yes, you give me the signal and I'll do it.
So, when I talked to you the other day, you were dressed differently.
Well, yeah, I normally dress different.
Bra and pantyhose and the leather headgear with the red ball. Your semblance was terrible.
That's only whenever we're doing the Light 'em Up cruise show.
The S's were all,
right.
It was pretty funny for a while.
Yeah, it gets tiring after a while.
Water.
So, I want to take back all the way to like 1968. How did you come to Tryon?
Boulevard, the 60s. That's where I lived, hanging out, smoking joints with strangers, passing them, rock stars hanging out. You get to see them in, the Whiskey A Go-Go and the Zaris. I mean, it was like the heart of the peace, love, and understanding generation, and I was in one of the centers, in L.A.
Yeah, in L.A.,
at
man.
the right
I can't
time.
even imagine.
I was in my late teens, and I was a bass player by 15. My mom had to drive me to gigs. It was embarrassing, but it was an incredible time, and the people around that got to live through that are disappearing,
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like the Roaring 20s. You know what I mean? It was just that level of excitement, but in a different direction.
Yeah, it's a stupid analogy, but I fucking get it.
Well, it just makes me think of how many different generations have been like through those kind of changes. You know what I mean?
No, I understand. You know, the Roaring Twenties was a gay time. You know, but you know, we also had Vietnam and civil rights.
Right. That was your time.
March.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That was your time.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so that wasn't something. There was no civil unrest in which people were rising up against the government, like in the 60s, in the 20s. The 20s, it was all just, you know, disco duck.
Yeah, but also at the same time, they had prohibition. So they were kind of going against the government because they had
World War II had ended. I mean, World War II. World War I had ended. And industry was just huge. Money was everywhere. So even with prohibition, people, you know, you want something, you'll get it.
Right.
Yeah. Government is stupid. Took them 5 days to get water to the dome in New Orleans.
Oh, yeah.
Katrina. You know, and then people worry about they're coming for us and they can't get water to these people during a hurricane.
Right.
For 5 days. So, you know, people with the conspiracy theories about how government is going to be, you know, is after us, we have to protect ourselves. Government is so fucking stupid. You know, we've got some smart people that know how to run things, but basically, you know, government itself is dumb.
It's just a money machine.
Yeah, it's just, there's no way they could organize something of any scale. You know, it's just not possible. And I've grown up in a time and I've seen, you know, different things, and it's cool, even though by the standard average mean in the United States, I will be dead in about 4.5 years when I'm 76. Oh no, 3.5 years.
You just cut half your life expectancy down.
Damn near. Damn.
Oh.
Shit. I mean, 4 years from now, I'm going to be missing Christmas.
All right.
And fuck me.
Man.
Oh, you know.
Well, I would say smoke all the cigars you can between now and then.
Yeah. This cigar is terrible. That's why I took the band off.
Oh.
I want you to know what it is. Of course, you know, I smoked a few cigars today. So, you know, with each successive cigar, my palate gets a little crispier, if you will. And I don't get the punch in the face from that first one of the day in the morning. It's my favorite time.
So your palate gets better throughout the day?
No, worse.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Unless there's some cigar that I'll smoke after dinner. I always have an after dinner stick. And it's just fucking killer. Doesn't matter. You know, it's kryptonite, doesn't bother it. You know, it's that great
ready to
cigar. It cuts through ice. It cuts through glaciers.
Now, what's a cigar to you that does that? I mean, what's one of those sticks?
You mean a brand name and a blend?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if I want to be. I mean, I'm a big fan of AJ Fernandez. Although it's getting a little old that the Mexican San Andres. I'm not sure how to pronounce that.
San Andreas, but I used to typed it.
And with the Nicaraguan binder and fillers.
Right.
You know, we've been seeing that same blend. Everybody get on the wagon over the last 5, 6, 7 years. And now, you know, it's like when I write my reviews, I write that here's the prediction. It's a Nic Puro or with the Mexican wrapper. These are the flavors. You know, they're now standardized because they're getting too locked into this. You know, some people are experimenting. But
do you think that happened because they were such a big hit that then everybody started using that formula? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I liked him. That's why I was a fan of AJ. You know, he and Pepin Garcia, you know, with the Garcia brands, I loved him. You know, when I think I first started smoking him in the late 90s, early 2000s. And same thing with AJ when he came on the scene. I just loved everything he did. Southern Draw is one of my favorites. Kazdagli Cigars is one of my favorites, even they don't advertise with me anymore. Huh. Jeremy, come on, dude. You have more money than God. But they used to be called bespoke cigars. He's out of Estonia. That's where his castle is. And he used Hendrik Kellner in the beginning a lot. And I was giving his cigars 100s. They were $20 to $25 cigars. They were worth every dime. And I'm an anti, I get on my, I'm really honest in my reviews. And I have to excuse myself to my Commonwealth readers, the British Commonwealth, because like in Canada and elsewhere, they pay like 4 times what we pay, and they get sick and tired of listening to us complain about it. What we pay, or $10 should get a good cigar. When you start $17-18, it better have a hooker in it,
right?
And a condom. So so who else do I like? I wrote it down because I knew I wouldn't remember it because I'm very old. I like Tatawahe.
You know what? I just started smoking those, and I've really enjoyed them.
The black.
Have you had the Fausto?
I've had them all. I love them all, but the black is my favorite.
I haven't had that one.
The Lancero. Yeah, it's when that matures in your humidor, that's just killer. But it's one that's never in cellophane. So even at a store shop, it's what I go to because it's being humidified, but it's open. It's not really breathing with the cello, even though I know it's perforated. You got to get the cello off to let it age properly, hibernate for 3-4 months, and that'll give you a good blend.
Now, do you normally take all the cellophane off before you put your cigars in the humidor?
Cigars that I know I'm going to smoke in the next 6 months, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. If I don't think I'm going to smoke it for a couple of years, but I'm pretty much I just watch for what's new, and that's kind of what I have to do. And I buy stuff. People give me stuff. People don't give me enough stuff. You need to give me stuff. So I'm only making $4 a year on Social Security. So, I mean, there's a big PayPal thing on my site.
Taking care of the elderly?
My wife has to work the streets so that we can live in an apartment.
Right.
And that's really terrible. She just turned 71. And while she's...
I'm good.
This is my wife last year when she turned 70.
What happened to you?
I know, it's horrible. I look at the photo on my website. It was taken a little over a year ago. I look like a healthy 60-something-year-old. Now I look like I'm 100 years old. The pandemic, I don't know, man.
I know. I said yesterday.
By the time, man, it got to me. I opened the door once too often.
It's like you went to the bathroom and came out wearing an Art Carney mask.
Art Carney. You see, that's one I've never heard. But then I've always, since my skydiving accident 20 years ago, I've never been overweight. Since then, I've had weight problems, and I just lost a bunch of weight on a diet. No carbs, no sugar, no seed oils. Seed oils are in everything. It's everything. You take that out of your diet, and within 2 months, screw Prevagen. This stuff wakes you up, but, I didn't start it till I was 70, and it made a huge difference in my life. I got off all, I wasn't diabetic anymore, no blood pressure pills. Got really healthy because I thought, I'm at a point I really would like to see my grandsons graduate high school. I want to be.
How long is that?
Well, there's a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Yeah, you're screwed.
I know.
I'm gonna applaud you and hope that you hit 76, but I don't see you making it into the
So many friends haven't. I mean, you know, when they started dropping like flies in their 50s, your age, no kidding, they started getting illnesses. All my old friends, you know, they're dropping dead right and left, starting in their 50s and 60s. They got even quicker, and hardly any made it to 70. You know, it's like us boomers, you know, I don't know what we were smoking, but it was either too much or not enough. Because, you know, I don't know. I don't have a lot of friends left. In fact, I usually spend a lot of time in the corner with my face in it, covered in a buffalo hide while I weep. It's just horrible.
It sounds different than what I would have imagined that you do.
Yeah, the Katman is just a character. I'm really a pathetic old fucking man. There's but I love cigars. I love cigars, and I've got a great palate, and I'm never wrong. I'm never wrong in my reviews. I can't tell you the number of reviews that said in 6 months to a year, you're going to see these cigars on the online cigar auction sites, and sure as shit, or on sale, you know, on the online stores. And they all ended up like that.
Yeah. So
I'm not wrong. I'm blessed with being the one.
Hey.
I am the cigar father.
Find something you're good at and stick with it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm also a retired structural engineer, but, you know, this is what I do in my retirement and have done. And the music, I should tell one music story.
Hold on, I want to back up to 1968 when you started smoking cigars.
Okay.
You were in LA. You were in a band at 15. So when you were like playing at gigs, were you like, you seen other people smoking cigars?
My dad, my grandfather.
Oh, okay.
Cigars. You heard of J.C. Newman cigars, right?
Absolutely.
The Julius Caesar cigar, the Diamond Crown. Julius Caesar Newman was a real man from Hungary, lived in Cleveland. My grandfather was from Hungary, lived in Cleveland, owned a saloon, and only sold J.C. Newman cigars. He became best friends with Julius Newman. And when I was little in L.A., he would bring him out when he would come out from Cleveland, spend a week with us, and Julius was his best friend. And that's weird, isn't it?
That is weird.
Yeah, it's just some coincidence, huh? But Julius was a dear friend of my grandfather. He mourned his loss for the rest of my grandfather's life. But I'm sorry, what was the question?
So what influenced you? I guess you answered that. Your dad and your granddad.
Yeah,
I mean, that was a natural progression. I thought I looked cool. Well, yeah, absolutely. And
what was wrong? Because I was in college, and I thought the college chicks would think the Long Fuente Lancero while I'm hanging out at Cal State University, Long Beach. I mean, there's a prestigious school. On the commons with the grass, I'm wearing 1968, you know, go to the surplus store and you get a World War II Army jacket, and it's real and, you know, part of the hippie thing. And I smoked the cigars and didn't attract a single fucking woman the whole time. So I rolled that out, but I did bring them to gigs, and I've always smoked a cigar while I was playing, except when I was, you know, like Curved Air in the mid-'70s, and we're playing in front of thousands of people. I mean, you know, it was a production. You know,
right.
That was touring big time. Toured with, we did a few nights with Black Sabbath. Usually we headlined, but sometimes, you know, paths would cross. And Ozzy in the mid-'70s was just an animal. And he had this thing about shit. He just loved to spread his shit everywhere. And we were at a club. I don't know if it was after a gig or a night between gigs. We're sitting at this big semicircular booth, and he pulls a turd. He shits in his own pants, leans over, grabs the turd, puts it in the roadie's drink, who's not looking, who's sitting next to Ozzy, and me and Stuart, and it was just me and Stuart hanging out all the time. We're watching, and we both started gagging. We had no control, and the roadie turns around. I mean, he grabs it before, and he got it like this close before he realized there was Ozzy's turd in there. That was really, we left the club.
Yeah.
I
thought maybe
cool.
You got escorted out.
Not in those days, man. People were doing drugs, in these hip clubs. This wasn't until I was into the rock and roll elite of London. I never would have known about these clubs, so I go and I'd see, what's his name from Mott the Hoople sitting there with two chicks on each side in a booth. What was his name? Oh, God, sorry. But anyway, music's still a big part of my life. I never stopped playing just because I got out of the business. I was a musician.
Do you still play?
I play bass guitar. I also play upright bass. I had an electric upright bass. And I was a really good bassist, and I was lucky. How much time do we have left?
Oh, you're good.
Okay. Can I tell you the story about what my audition was like? Because this is what every musician dreams of. When I auditioned for Curved Air.
Yeah.
Can I tell you that's okay? I'll do it as fast as I can. I had just gotten to London. I was with my best buddy and his wife, had enough money for a one-way ticket and not enough to go back. And 2 weeks in, we're almost broke, living in a shithole in London. And I see an ad in Melody Maker for a bass player, and right below it for a roadie. And I called, it was the same number. And I said, I'm a bass player, but, a roadie, man, I need money. And he said, well, you just do the bass thing, and we'll go from there about the roadie. I said, okay. Now, I went to the audition. I had to go to St. John's Wood, which is a very ritzy part of London, and it's Miles Copeland's house. And he was on the corner, and straight down, perpendicular, it was Abbey Road Studios, and that Abbey Road. I mean, this was a hoity-toity part of town. He turned his basement, part of it, into a big sound room so the bands could rehearse. And he started with Wishbone Ash, Caravan, Climax Blues Band, Renaissance, had a bunch of bands, and they went on with Sting. Anyway, the audition. So I went there. There was a million guys, and I'm just a pussy when it comes to auditions. I just don't do it well. And although I always get the gig, always have. And thank you, Cosmic Muff. I left and walked away, and I was halfway down the sidewalk when Stuart Copeland yelled at me. He'd come out. I don't know why. He goes, "Where are you going?" And I said, "Man, I don't do cattle call auditions." And he said, "You douchebag, come back here." And he grabbed me by the arm, and I got my bass, and it takes me down back where there's 40 other bass players waiting their turn, and makes me tea, gives me some biscuits, which are just cookies. And they go back, and they're playing the same 4 or 5 songs over and over again. So everybody's sitting there, how am I going to play this different? How am I going to play this different? Well, of course, as an American, I was into jazz fusion in the early 70s, hadn't hit England at all, and they were all playing bass like Chris Squire of Yes, very, very special man, but just no funk, man, no funk, and so I was into that. I was into all the great Jaco Pastorius, Stanley Clarke, Ron Carter, all these great people, and I was in the right place at the right time. So I go in, and I'm ready to play the songs, and it's Stuart and the guitarist and Daryl Way, the violinist, playing keyboard, and they say, you know what? We're really tired of playing the same 4 fucking songs over and over again. Why don't you give us something? And I just I can't, I just been 2 hours, I'm out there playing, and now you want me to give you something. This was absolute terror. I was 24 years old. So I played something I thought was sort of Billy Cobham-ish, the drummer, sort of like, and it was like exactly like Beck, Bogert, and a piece. When Jeff Beck had that trio, and Jeff Bogert on bass, and Carmine a piece on drums, it was just an amazing thing. And Stewart's eyes were like dishes. He didn't blink, and he's just staring at me, and I'm just hammering away. And he said they were going to bring back the cream on Sunday, and I'll definitely be one of them. And thank you for coming. And they asked me a bunch of stuff, and I get back to my shithole, and there's a payphone, and it rings, and it was Daryl Way, and he said, "Wow, I really like your playing, but do you have to play so many notes?" And I thought quickly, well, you gave me 10 minutes to show you 10 years of playing. Oh, yeah, I get it. And then Stuart Copeland called me, and I go, wow, what's going on? And then I just forgot about it. And I went back Sunday figuring, okay, there's going to be these, Jack Bruce, Paul McCartney are going to be there, and I'm going to be competing against them. So I gird my loins, I show up, and I'm the only one there.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Was I a kick in the pants? I was immediately put on the payroll for British Talent Management.
And you were sweating bullets for all that time.
Oh my God, I'm telling you, my life I was broke, but we made a point of being in a country that speaks English if we're broke and have to beg and live on the street. That's how serious we were about music in 1974.
That's a very forward-thinking benefit.
Yeah, it was just, no one was playing like Americans. And they had just seen Beck, Bogert, and a piece the night before the audition and fell in love with that. And I was the only one.
Wow.
I mean, what are the odds? Talk about karma. Now my karma is completely fucked. I'm coming back as a caterpillar. I've just,
So how long were you in the rock and roll business?
About a dozen plus years. When I came back, I bought a recording studio. The guy was running it in the ground in Long Beach, and it ended up being very successful. We were doing everything from bands to DJs doing commercials for the radio stations, and Philharmonic orchestra players would come in, string quartets, and guy came in with a harp. Oh my God, that was something else. But we did, you name it. We had punk bands, and it was right in the middle of the gay district of Long Beach, right dead center. And so we had a lot of gay bands and some lesbian bands. The gay bands were no problem. They're all very down to earth, fun bunch of guys, But the lesbian bands, I don't know. It was, they were all really butch, and they hated men. And we couldn't figure that out because we were very nice very polite to customers. And they didn't, you probably need to edit this out because, it was a different time. It was 40 years ago. And they just really disliked us. And I'm going to change the subject now because thank God I'm old and near death. So this will have no reaction on my reputation. I used to leave my engineer alone during those. He worked for a company that is as an engineer that did porno films, and he would engineer them, and it was called looping. They would add sounds that either had to be redone or whatever, and the actors would sit in a circle around microphones, and they'd have a screen, and then they'd have a control booth with digital analog actually equipment, and they would add sounds. And since it was porno, they had Lubriderm, and they squish stuff right in the mic, and they ooh and they ah. And he said every new engineer that got hired had to do the gay movies.
Nice.
And no one ever lasted more than a week.
Wow.
Because they had to sit there and watch gay porn while guys did it, and I'm not homophobic. Jesus.
Yeah, I'm not either. And
I mean, it's just a fact. This is what happened to me. These were the things that happened in my life, and
because that's the way things were back then.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Well, how long did you have the studio?
Yeah, and people come in without a bass player and say, well, a good bass player, and I get a session gig on top of it.
How long did you own this studio?
4 or 5 years.
Okay, and so what'd you do after that?
I became a structural engineer project manager for a commercial construction company because I decided to go straight. My Eddie Munster, Butch Patrick, whatever happened to Eddie project went down when the record company went down because they were embezzling $15 million from Hughes Aircraft to keep the record company going. And just after we sold 181,000 singles of whatever happened to Eddie, and I was to get 25 cents a single, which would have kept me whole, the FBI swarmed in and shut him down. And I got interviewed a couple of times, and they just figured I'm just some dumbass musician. He doesn't know what he's involved in.
And you got nothing?
I got nothing. All my money was gone. It was all confiscated by the FBI.
Oh.
Yeah, so after that, and
you got a real job.
Yeah. Well, I loved the music, but I was stupid and got into the business end pretty heavy as well. But since then, I've always played in some good bands, blues, R&B, rock, classic rock, make it our own, good players, and play out every weekend, every other weekend. And that's where my love is, All play. Do you play?
I do not play.
Nothing?
No.
Your parents make you play something, the accordion?
Whenever I was young, mainly I just played with myself.
Well, didn't we all? I'll drink to that.
So, no, whenever I was, 18 to 19, I was in a band. I was the singer. I couldn't play any instruments, and we were like what you would.
Don't pretend like you didn't hear me.
I did hear you. I'm ignoring you because those days are long gone. Those days are because let me tell you, it wasn't. No, this was in the 80s, and we were doing stuff like
Flock of Seagulls,
Tesla, and what's the other, Guns N' Roses, that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay. All right, so you're playing rock.
Yeah. And I mean, back then in the day, like I saw the pictures of you, which I love. And by the way, guys, on the YouTube channel, I'm actually going to put them up right now. So you'll be able to see the pictures of Phil back in the rock and roll days.
When I had my big afro.
You had a badass afro.
And you know who gave that to me? Somehow someone knew someone. And Vidal Sassoon was a very famous hairstylist to the Stars. He had his own line of products. And he was like, really in. I just remember him, the perfect hair, thin, bell bottoms. He's probably gay because he was just always looked better than everybody. And he gave me the haircut. I went there, and it was $25 in 1970, 71. And meanwhile...
You say $25? $25 for a haircut?
In the early 70s.
That was expensive back then.
Yeah. But what I did get some sex.
Ah.
A girl that would wash my hair, and I'd be leaning back with my arms on the armrest, and she literally sat on the top of my right here. And I mean, I didn't know what to do. I mean, was I supposed to turn my hand like that and then get, smacked and thrown out? Was I just supposed to not say anything? I'm supposed to give her a bigger tip? I don't know. I mean, is there a date for me later?
I'm guessing that you didn't do anything.
I didn't. And it got even worse because they sat me in front of a mirror with 4 stools. And back in the day, there was this TV show called Wyatt Earp with the actor Hugh O'Brien. Hugh O'Brien was this big, Marlboro, handsome man. He was in lots of movies, but he did this series. And he just, the perfect chiseled jaw and just, a 40s type movie star looking guy. And he sits down next to me. And this was before I got the haircut, and the someone who assessed my hair. I had long hair, and he just starts doing this. Now my hair is standing up like I've been electrified. It's just all goofy looking. He walks away, and I'm sitting there. Hugh O'Brien sits next to me. Immediately, 5 chicks with legs this long in short shorts are bending over while he's reading a script, of course. They all do that. And I'm looking at the mirror at him, and I'm looking at me, and, I look like I'm 3 feet smaller. I look like a little person in that chair compared to this guy, 6'4", but that's where I got the afro. I just have naturally curly hair. And I blow dried. You blew. It's got to be blue dried. Apparently, senior moments are catching. They're contagious. Even if it's digital.
I can't talk anyway. So, I
watched your show. You're a good talker.
Well, I talk a lot.
It's because you're fucked up a lot, but still, you and Brian, they're a pleasure to watch, and I haven't been a fan. I'm sorry, people are going to hate me of video reviews because I don't get entertained.
I'm not a fan of those.
Or if they don't entertain me, I'm not interested. It's just like, there are some reviews I hold in high esteem, some companies, that I'm associated with because I'm in this top 50 thing.
Yeah.
And I'm an independent. I've never worked for a cigar industry in my life, even though you say I'm in the cigar industry. I'm an engineer that started writing a blog, and that's all I am. I still am. So the cigar industry hates me because I'm honest, and my readers depend on me to be honest. And I make a point of taking that seriously.
Well, I think, and I've read several of your reviews since we started talking, and I was sorry. No, they're a breath of fresh air. And we down at the Leaf, there's a group of us, and Paul's one of them, and Paul just cannot stand cigar reviews because they're like, now I'm toasting the foot, and then they're like, and now
I know.
And it's like they do the first third, and then they go away, and they come back and talk about the second third, and then the third, and it's like, I don't want to watch that.
Yeah, exactly. It's not entertaining. That's what I try to do. I make that a point. The fact that I have a brilliant cigar palate, and I'm never wrong, and I've said that more than once on your show. You may want to roll the tape back to prove it. Is I try to entertain people. I write as I review. It's a transcript of a live radio show. That's how I write. I don't prepare anything other than the formatting.
Yeah, and I mean, everybody out there's read reviews on cigars. When you go to your reviews, it's not like reading any other review you've ever read, because all the other reviews are like perfectly formatted paragraphs. They follow a formula. There's no spelling errors. And yours is just, here is what I think, and this is what I get.
I have to kill time while I'm smoking because I'm writing. So I try to, if I can't make you laugh, at least go, gee, that was fucking stupid.
Right.
I'll take that. Yeah. I don't mind. Either way is good for me. I have a lot of haters, a lot of trolls.
Yeah, you told me that you actually even got death threats.
Oh, all the time.
Over a cigar review.
Yeah, I know. I feel sorry for people like this, because they do it anonymously. And one of the reasons I'm popular is I'm inappropriate and profane. That's who I am, So if I want to talk about a blowjob for 3 sentences in the middle of me telling you the character and nuances I'm tasting, I throw it in there because I'm kind of puffing away and I need a few seconds as things go. And it's like, nobody else can be inappropriate and profane, and that's why I'm not in the cigar industry, because they have connections, resources, advertisers, associations. They can't screw that up. I mean, I understand that's business. They do this for a living.
Right.
If I had to do this for a living, I'd be living with you.
Well, and there is something to be said for the guys like you that do things in life because they want to versus the people who have to.
Yeah, half the written reviewers are actually held at gunpoint to write a review. I mean, it's a well-known fact within the cigar industry that weapons of all types are used to intimidate reviewers into writing a cigar review, because it's one of the more horrible things in life to do. And I mean that. So,
but what I'm saying, Phil, is that if I'm going to turn to a regular guy doing what he loves to do and he's good at it versus turn to the guys that are on the payroll of a magazine or...
it depends. I mean, I agree with you as a concept. As an overall, yes, I agree with you 100%. But there are guys that I can read between the lines. They're smart reviewers, but they're company men.
They never veer off track. They never veer off track.
Well, if they do, it's I'll do this.
Right.
They'll do this. And if I had to survive doing that for a living, I don't know. But that's why I don't, because I couldn't be like that.
Right.
I enjoy telling the truth, and whether it's I fawn over a great cigar and give it a goddamn 100, which everybody gets on me. It's not the best cigar in the world. It's just the perfect cigar for my palate at that moment, at that time. And this is a great goddamn cigar. Buy it. I'm telling you to. Calm down. Okay. Got a little excited.
Zen.
Oh.
But, I don't know. I don't read cigar reviews. I've enjoyed reading yours.
Most people don't. When I worked in a cigar lounge during the pandemic, I had my business cards ready to hand out to everybody. Not a single person in the year that I did that had ever read a cigar review. And this was in a hoity-toity area of Milwaukee, a very plush lounge with leather seats and 150-foot TV screens and big walk-in humidor and a bar and it just floored me. And then they would buy $6 particles,
sticks,
cigars.
Yeah, I called them sticks all the time, and somebody.
Me too. Okay, I thought maybe that you were really an alien and you had taken Rob Jones' exterior being.
I do the same. So let me ask you this: what made you decide? I mean, did you start writing reviews after you retired or before?
After.
So
I got wiped out in the second Great second Great Depression of 2008, 2009. Austin commercial construction was dead in the water. It was hit worse than any other business. And I'm a 60-year-old project manager making a lot of money. And nobody's hiring. They're going out of business. They're using skeleton crews to stay afloat. And I was always a guy that chased the money. So that meant I chased the projects. So I never worked for a company more than 3 years. Chicago, McCormick Place, added a massive expansion in 2005. They made it the largest convention center in the world. And I was called from while I was in California. Do I want to run the job? And the steel. I said, yeah. And then I moved to, and I ended up here in Milwaukee, which I call Mayberry on acid. It's horrible.
And
There's no culture here.
How long have you been there?
Since 2008.
And what keeps you there?
Satan.
You're old and you don't want to move.
No, our daughter's here. We have no other living relatives. My wife and I, we've been married 37 years, I think. And we have a 35-year-old daughter who'll be 36 in a couple months. And she has 2 small sons. And she's married to a Milwaukee cop. Yeah, like I would be on the homicide squad.
Right.
And
keep going. I'm going to be right back. I've got to grab another cigar.
Oh, yeah. I was going to, but then I can't talk and smoke. So, hi, how are you? Why are you still here? I would have put Netflix on a long time ago. I mean, God, look at me. I'm like Art Carney. Hi there.
You know what's funny is I bet 80% of our audience doesn't know who Art Carney is.
The Honeymooners. And that should do it. And if you don't know what the Honeymooners is, forget.
Yeah,
okay. It doesn't matter.
I bet 80%, at no more than 70%, knows who the Honeymooners are.
Really?
Yes. That's how old you are.
Do I have anything sharp? Oh, yes, I do. I have my perfect draw drawing tool. So when a cigar gets plugged, put it against my...
Do you use that?
Oh, all the fucking time, man. Even if a cigar isn't really plugged, you can still suck on it and it's okay. Why? Why not have it exactly the way you want it? You're the one that paid $14 for it. Why can't I smoke it with the perfect draw that I like?
I understand that, but I've gotten to where if I do a cold draw and it's plugged, I don't want to freaking mess with it. I just want to throw it away and go to the next one.
Throw it away?
Throw it away and go to the next one.
You told me your wife is Jewish.
That is true.
Like me.
I am not.
You are not. And you've learned nothing all this time.
That is correct.
Wow.
I don't,
through injection, there should be something there.
I've tried the skewer that goes through and it does improve it, but how many times have you done that and it cracks? It cracks the wrapper.
Well, there's a learning curve. I mean, who the hell drops onto the planet and knows how to drive a car the first time? I won't use it on a Lancero. I would have to be absolutely insane.
Like, what's the minimum ring gauge that you would use that on?
A 40.
Okay.
See, the plugs normally happen, and I found this through experience. I've got data to prove it. Harvard has all my information in their archives about this, that if a plug occurs, it's right where the cigar band is. Don't ask me why. I don't know. And everyone I've asked in the cigar industry, I don't know.
Yeah, usually it's between where the cigar band is and maybe just a little bit lower. Yeah, but they're almost always right there.
I mean, it's not concrete. It's right there. I mean,
Right.
But in the area, and I don't understand. I mean, do I have to start looking at some physics on YouTube again? I hated physics as an engineer. I like geometry and trig. I still like that.
Can you still do it?
No, can I still do it? Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I did it for a long time. I was a kid. I didn't like algebra. I hated algebra, but I liked triangles and circles. So that's strange, but I love my music. When we were talking about loving what you do, and my.
So did you love the engineering gig?
No, my dad. I fell into it after the music thing collapsed. With the Eddie Munster project. Whatever happened to Eddie on YouTube? Right in. Whatever happened to Eddie Butch Patrick? And yes, it's crude, but it's only 2 minutes.
We're gonna put a link down in the show notes, so you'll just click down the show notes and you can go see the video.
It's silly, okay? They have makeup on. It's Eddie and the Monsters, but they were all good-looking kids, and we were trying to get a TV show. I had written a movie script about Eddie and the Monsters. We were trying to get the tweens, interested, even though these guys are all 25 to 30 years old. It just went sideways when the record company got shut down.
So then you went into the engineering gig.
Yeah, I said, fuck it. I'm going straight. Plus, as I got better and better in the music business, in the business end, not just the playing, I was becoming very, very ruthless, and that's required. And I'm not a ruthless guy, not to that extent. I mean, everyone has some level, but I mean, this was like, I am really ashamed of what I just did or said.
Yeah.
To get needed to get.
Because you're either cutting people out of their money or you're stepping on other people.
Yeah, exactly. And I just, I hate to refer to, pat myself on the back with my reviews, but I'm just an honest guy, I mean, sure, I'm like everyone else, there are times that doesn't happen, but as far as my core values, it's just the way, I was brought up. I was lucky, middle class family.
In California.
In California. My mother's last name, her maiden name was Siegel. I think it was her third cousin, but it could have been her second cousin, was Bugsy Siegel, the gangster who invented Las Vegas. Never met him. He died in 49 or 47 or something. He was murdered. But my mother's father died when I was 2. He was a criminal lawyer in Cleveland, and I was told for a long time he died of a heart attack.
But he really got... Wow.
Yeah. My mother had a half sister I saw on every other decade, and she told me the truth in my 20s or something. Freaked me out, but it also explained why my dad became a lawyer first, went to work for Gramps, and then Gramps dies. He goes back on the GI Bill and gets his civil engineering degree. He goes out to California, and
so that's how you ended up out there.
Right. He didn't want to be around mobsters. So the holidays, there were all these second, third, fourth cousins by marriage, and they all look like the Godfather. The men all wore natty suits and had pencil mustaches and greased black hair, and they had the see-through black socks, and the shiny black shoes, and the women had big puffy hair and wore all their jewelry, and it was just dripping, and they looked down upon us as the middle class relations,
right?
Instead of and then they started disappearing. So by the time the end of my teens, there were none left except some of the women, and the women were left with nothing, because if you go to jail or disappear, there's no pension fund. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's no backup plan.
Yeah, so I've got pictures of family members sitting at Ciro's with guys named Swifty and shit like that. It was really weird.
And isn't it crazy to think that any little change, you could have ended up being a gangster, or no, you ended up being in the music industry, rock and roll playing. And I mean, it's just crazy to think how little changes that people make completely change how your life ends up.
Well, I think that's all of us. I think that's the human, I don't want to say race, the human infection.
I was going to say element.
Okay. I'm looking at notes because I can't remember anything anymore. Oh, well, this is Texas. Is most of your viewership in Texas, or is it everywhere?
No, it's everywhere.
Everywhere. Okay.
Yeah, I actually talked to guys that are in Australia, in the UK, and I mean,
Cool.
Canada.
Cool. The Commonwealth, the British, the Commonwealth, whether it's Canada or England, I got a lot of countries that read me. All just like I said earlier, leave pissed comments about stop your whining. We pay so much more.
Right. Yeah, that's like my buddy in Australia. I sent him a 12-pack of cigars, and when they got there, he still had to pay like $300 and something dollars just in tax. Yeah. So, I've talked to him many times. And I mean, like, I don't know, an $8-10 cigar for him is like $40.
Yeah, exactly. I've got friends, readers, and so now I have to actually. I've said lately, okay, Commonwealth readers, breathe through your nose, calm down. I'm going to say, $14? Are you fucking kidding me? This is not a $14. This is a $6 cigar. So yeah, I get it. But then I also told him, I tell you what, I'll trade cigar prices if we get free health care.
Boom.
He didn't get back to me.
Right. So you started after you retired. What made you decide that you wanted to write reviews?
Famous Smoke. You familiar with them? The online cigar store?
Absolutely.
Okay. I became their first reviewer online. They invented a blog, and that was all because I was smoking a lot of cigars and I was bored because I had just lost my job. And I started leaving reviews of the cigars I smoked that they had. And I guess I was smart ass and being funny because they contacted me and they offered me a gig to be the reviewer. And I did that. And they sent me cigars where they didn't want them to wait, give them no time to age in my humidor. And they also wanted me to write off the chart, off the grid, as far as being funny. I mean, this was, the guys in Monty Python would say, what? I mean, that's how out there I was writing, because they thought that I was capable of writing, and I am. But I mean, you just narrow the parameters of the people, of the readership that say, oh, that's funny, as opposed to, this is easier, And that's what they did. And I mean, I wrote out these outrageous reviews and nothing dirty, unlike my current ones the last 10 years, but just crazy stories, and they were funny. I thought they were funny, but it shocked everybody. And they're the ones that said, get a start your own blog. And I did, based on, I forget the name, the guy that's Cigar Advisor. Gary Korb. Yeah, he gave me that advice. And so I did. And then the dumb fucks tell me, I said, I'm out of work. I'm getting unemployment. I need cigars. They said, go onto the chat rooms, the cigar forums, and tell them you need cigars. They were serious. So I did that because I'd never been on a cigar forum. Guess what? I got branded as a moocher. I mean, I got attacked from right, left, over, under, sideways, down. I had no idea this was against the culture of the cigar forum.
Well, yeah, and you got to be specific because it's not the cigar culture. If you go to a cigar forum, it's ruthless.
In my experience, I agree with you 100%. There are times, and I've tried in the last few years, but it's impossible to. Somebody figures out I'm Katman. Somebody does, and then it becomes a
beat up field day.
Yeah, it rolls, and but there are lots of people that like me. It's usually the smart ones, the dumb ones, the ones that don't get me. But
I actually went to a cigar forum probably within the last 6 weeks. And it was the first time that I ever got on a cigar forum outside of like Reddit. And Reddit is not as bad as like just these cigar forums. It was like feeling like you would be Jewish and they were the Nazis. You know what I mean? They're just like, if you say anything that's not allowed to be said, they have all these rules and it's like, damn. And I didn't say anything. I just read people just being attacked and was like, yeah, I'm not going to mention that I'm on Cigar Talk,
Yeah. Well, you'll probably become a target.
Well, I was just like, I never claimed to be a cigar expert. I am an expert at smoking a shit ton of cigars. That's my specialty.
That's a good goal for everybody.
Yeah.
Can't argue with that.
So we talk about our own experiences, but no way in any way, shape, or form are we experts. And so when you go to places like that, all those people think they are experts, and you're a moron. And you understand.
Yeah. I mean, I tell my readers all the time, you'll probably have the exact opposite experience that I am. I mean, it's very possible. Palates are like fingerprints. They're all different.
Yeah.
Everybody has the same one. I mean, there's certain constants based on the tobacco and so forth and so on. But, I mean, as far as getting nuances, subtleties, that kind of thing, transitions, the finish, just the whole body and character of the cigar, the complexity, that's the thing. If you can get a complex cigar, it doesn't matter if you have a palate or not, whether it's sophisticated or not. You're just learning or not. You won't dissect it. I don't. If I'm not writing about it, I don't dissect a cigar. You go, okay, now I taste raspberry jellied eel. I don't do it. I just smoke it, and if it's like really good, no.
Yeah, and for me,
tonight.
What to me makes a great cigar is, for me, if it has like the perfect construction. I don't have to think about it at all. You know what I mean?
I'm a sucker for a pretty girl too.
Yeah, and then if it's quality, really good tobacco, I don't care what the flavor profile is. I know it's a really good tobacco, and it's
taste the aging.
Yes,
that's what everything is about, is it? So many. That was Sammy the cat for my readers. Scared me. He has a big shadow. He's a Maine Coon, big cat. What were we talking about?
Just smoking good tobacco that's been aged properly.
I reviewed last year a Opus X from 1997 that someone had gifted me.
Wow.
Oh my God. It was wonderful. It was like having sex with your zipper up.
Well, I'll tell you, I had not quite that far back, but a friend of mine from Atlanta sent me some cigars, and one of them was the Padron Millennium Edition. And so when he sent it to me, it was 18 years old, and I really had very low expectations because I was like, It's
Well,
18
you don't know how it's
years
been
old.
taken care of.
Right. And it was amazing. I was blown away.
Really.
And but my expectations were very low. You know, I was like,
Well, that's good. That's good. You know, that a surprise is always nice once in a while. A
absolutely.
pleasant surprise, you know, not where, you know, your doctor says bend over and cough. Yeah, once in a while, you know. Oh, you know, I have no affiliation with them. But Cigar Dojo got together with Atlantic Cigar and a blender, and I can't remember his name. I just reviewed the cigar. It's called the Reviver. They only made 500 boxes or something, 10 counts. Holy crapola. Again, I have no affiliation. I just said, you know, if you don't smoke this, if you don't buy, they're like 10 or 11 bucks. I think if you go through the Cigar Dojo article or press release about the cigar, they have a link that gives you another 10% off. So it goes from being 110 to 100 to 90, you know, plus shipping. And, you know, it is the best goddamn $9 cigar I ever smoked in my life. And that's saying a lot. So it's called Reviver. It's only an Atlantic Cigar. You fuckers better do something for me.
Yeah.
That's right. I just plugged you. You know, that's a must. I mean, I don't recommend cigars. Southern Draw's got new stuff. It's always good. I mean, I've done 25, 30 reviews, and it's always stellar and stunning. Same thing with Kaz Dagley, but they're more expensive. Southern Draw keeps their stuff very cost effective. You know, I'm not really big into the catalog brands. I like the boutique brands. They're more adventurous, but they also can be much more expensive because they don't, you know, they got their overheads a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
But what's funny that you say that, though, then you look at some of the big companies that mass produce, you know, by the shipload. Let's just say, for instance, Monte Cristo, and their cigars are not any cheaper. They're more expensive.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah, I'm not a Monte Cristo fan, at least not an American. You know, I like some of the Cubans. But I don't know. It's you know, they're once in a while they come up with something good, but I mean, once in a while is not good enough to pay, you know, $15 or $19. I mean, you know, I want 2 hookers.
Right. I always bash Monte Cristo, but they do have some cigars that I have really enjoyed.
Most of them are like smoking a Gurkha. I don't know how the Gurkha haters are going to come after me.
You know what? I'm not a fan of Gurkha. I think maybe I've smoked 3 or 4 of them in my whole time, and every time
I smoked a bunch of them.
I'm not a fan.
No, I'm not either. When I was my early days of reviewing, I bought because they were very popular, but they also weren't as expensive as they are now. I mean, they're just, you know, and they're selling the same brands that they did 20 years ago or 15 years ago. Or not brands, but blends, excuse me.
They've got too many blends. They've got too many everything. I can't jump in.
I call it the Rocky Patel Memorandum.
Yeah, you know, I don't smoke a lot of Rocky either.
You start cranking out so many cigars for so many different companies under their name, and then you start selling seconds, thirds, quintuplets, you know, bundles, and only $1.09 each, you know, and I mean, you know, huh?
Yeah, you smoke one of those and you want your $1.09 back.
Well, the thing is that, you know, the man has no passion anymore. Plus, he was an entertainment lawyer before we got into cigars. Now, let me tell you something about fucking entertainment lawyers, because I've had and run across a lot in my musical career. They are worse than car salesmen. Oh my God, these are they swim beneath the eels, beneath the fish.
Wow.
Oh my God. So that should tell you everything. But the fact that he's got no passion for his blends anymore. You know, now and again something comes up, but there's no passion in the blending. That's why I like Southern Draw, and I like Kaz Dagley. There's real interest by the owners. They don't just sit in Miami in a boardroom and 25 different unbanded cigars are thrown in front of them, and they sit there for 2 days trying them and say, okay, we'll take this one. How many can we get? So many people do it that way and then claim it as their own. I won't name the companies.
Yeah.
Because, Mossad looks after me, but they can only be in so many places at the same time.
True. So what do you got going on in the future? What you got any plans to do anything different? You going to keep doing what you're doing? What do you got going on? I mean,
as long as I'm healthy, the only thing I got wrong with me is, I look like shit, but that's not necessarily an illness, although it could lead to one. There's a Woody Allen coming out. Is continue reviewing because I love it. I found that after I hit 70, the thing that Jack Palance did in City Slickers with Billy Crystal,
where the thing.
Life is one thing. He put his finger on it, and Crystal said, "What is it? What's that one thing?" And he said, "Only you know." And when I hit 70, I found out. I had a friend. I asked him. I said, not long ago. I said, "How old were you?" I was 60. I said, "Fuck you, 60. I was 70."
You're a late bloomer,
right? Why'd I have to wait an extra 10? What's so special about you? But you find out, and it's changed my writing. Although in the last several months, because I'm not sleeping, because I need my neck opened up and a new spine put in. Either that, or they're going to exchange my head with a Henry the Chimp at the Milwaukee Zoo.
No one will know the difference.
See, no, if I don't shave, of course of course, you know what? My grandfather and my father were bald, long. They never had this much hair. But you know what they used for shampoo, of course, was either a bar of soap or Prowl. So I think it's only because of the modernization of hairstyling, shampoos and conditioners, etc., that I've kept my hair this long. Neither one of, and on my mother's side, he was a cue ball. And he was dead at 52. So, the photos I saw him, he was much younger. So I'm lucky to have anything.
Both my brothers are, one is a cue ball and one is close. And they're both younger.
How come you have a full head of hair? Is that a Howard Cosell wig?
No, actually, because we have different fathers.
So you lucked out in
I got the hairy guy.
Yeah, that's cool, because nothing more frustrating than I used to have when I was in my 30s and 40s, big, beautiful, lush head of hair. People Seinfelded me when I was in my 30s because I was slim and trim and a little bit muscular, but just toned. And I had this just beautiful head of dark hair. And I was a good looking kid then. I look like shit now, but I forgot. I got all wrapped up in thinking how beautiful I was.
So you're gonna keep writing?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna keep writing. Why not? Unless one of the I can't think of any reason to stop.
So, how often do you do a review?
Varies.
So there's no schedule.
No, I try, and sometimes I go fuck it. But it's anywhere from 1 to 4 times a week.
Yeah, I was blown away because I started subscribing, and I'm like, wow, there's another one. Wow, I was like, holy crap, I was expecting way less from you.
I know. You should file a complaint at The Hague.
It's like, wow, I thought you were doing like 1, 2 a week max.
Well, when I get my viruses in the winter, like I have since I was a child, I'll go a week or two, because if this is what your sinuses feel like, your palate is totally fucking useless.
Right.
So I don't review them because of obvious reasons.
So do you, when you get done writing it, do you automatically publish it or do you proofread it?
No, I don't. I never read it. After I finish it, I hit publish and walk away from it.
Wow.
Yeah. So people will quote stuff back to me and go, "I said that? Really? No, it's not that funny." But yeah, it's just I don't. I mean, there's thousands on my site. It goes back to mid 2012. I was on a different platform before that, and then Famous, of course. I got, as a result of Famous, I got work from a bunch of online cigar stores that you heard of, and I had to change my name with each thing, and I was working for half a dozen. I don't know what happened, but the thing is, they wanted me to keep the sense of humor. Well, it's kind of identifiable with who I am.
Right.
So how do I disguise that when people keep reading it in different, this guy's got a different name, but he still writes like the idiot that I read in the other review.
Right, and that's a testament because you were not writing cookie cutter reviews. So your style was very obvious.
I just didn't see, plus, what my reward was for writing a review was a 5-pack. And I'm not talking $100 5-pack,
Right.
but I did it because it was fun. I like cigars. That's why we're here. That's why we're talking. Really.
Exactly, and that's what we do. We enjoy cigars, and we like talking about them, and we like having a good time.
I don't like to talk about them as much as I like smoking them. Sometimes I'll see videocasts or podcasts or something, and I'll start talking about something in the history of a cigar, and it's like, I kind of nod off. I'm not. It's a good thing I don't work in the cigar industry because there's parts of it that just don't interest me. But I do love a cigar, a good cigar. I think the relaxation level that a cigar can provide is something that many drugs used for that reason can't do.
So, do you do any pairings? Do you drink bourbon?
I do. I have a bottle of Highclere Castle gin, and that's an odd. Well, first of all, it's really good gin. So it's really smooth. It's not, that's one of the things.
I've never had gin that didn't make me do that. I don't like gin.
But anyway, bourbon. I like all kinds of drinks. I love, my most favorite liquor is tequila because I grew up in Southern California, and
Now, do you drink the good tequilas, like the sipping tequilas?
Well, yeah, sure. I don't drink to get drunk, so I don't go to Costco and buy, a gallon jug of tequila. It just has a white label with the words tequila on it,
Yeah.
and drink half of it on the way out to the parking lot.
Yeah, I just don't drink tequila because I've had a bad experience. I've told that story.
So have I.
Yeah.
Terrible ones.
So that's why I don't drink tequila anymore.
Never vomited so much in my life. It was just a steady stream, like something in a TV show or a movie,
Yeah, I just can't do that. And, I would say that I don't really get drunk ever when I'm drinking bourbon, but that would be a lie. And anybody who watches the show would call me a liar. So I do get a little tipsy here and there.
Yeah, well, that's what the liquid's invented for.
True.
It's that some people don't know when to stop, and that's too bad because I've known a lot of those people. But what I have learned, both because of the drug use from the 60s and 70s and 80s, in the early 80s, cocaine exploded like the movie Blow with Johnny Depp. It was all accurate. It just, everything. I was bribing radio station project managers, TV people with bottles of Coke, grams. It was just expected, as well as cash. The days of payola, the big scam in the 1950s, the scandal is what I meant to say, that went to Congress, that people were paying off the record stations to get their records played. It's always been like that. It's never changed. It's just for some reason, I mean, I was a kid in the 50s, so I have no recollection of it. And I haven't done much reading, but the music business always deals in graft and corruption. And, I didn't like that either.
Yeah.
That was part of the ruthlessness that I just thought and of course the timing was bad, that Coke had exploded in the United States in 1980 when the cartels just went crazy. Everybody, I knew people that died, I knew people that were murdered,
Yeah, it was a different time. I mean,
it was way different. I mean, it's a long time ago, 40 years ago. In 1980s, when I stopped eating sugar.
wow.
And I still look like this. So I'm not,
It's not a beauty tip.
What?
It's not a beauty tip.
Yeah, apparently. Although my insides are pretty good for a guy my age, and some of it has to be no sugar. But there's only one food the food industry has not figured out how to make sugar-free. There's only one food. I mean, you can get ice cream, candy, you name it, donuts. There is no such thing as a sugar-free donut. I've not eaten a donut in 41 years.
Wow.
You can pin the medal on me right here.
Yeah, I'm going to put a big donut right there.
If Charlotte occasionally gets a donut, I smell her breath afterwards. I just hang there. But then I've taken a bite, and the sugar, your body realizes it's a toxin, and it doesn't realize it until you stop doing something, and then it rejects you doing it again. It's strange how that happens, because I really don't like the taste of sugar. It's repulsive.
But it really, on the donut, especially if it's freshly made, it's also the smell.
I know,
because it's
I used to love donuts.
It's bread. I mean, who doesn't love the smell of fresh bread?
I can't think of anyone offhand. I could get back to you.
If you find somebody that doesn't like the smell of fresh bread, don't talk to them ever again. Can't trust them.
Okay. I made some notes of things that I might bring up to talk. I mean, I've gone way past half an hour.
Oh, yeah. We're on overtime now. So, hey, well, let me ask you this. Like, sometime in the future, would you be willing to come back?
Oh, this was great. I had a wonderful time.
Awesome.
Thank you, Rob.
And we didn't get to the story
this is the first time. Huh?
We didn't get to the story of how me and you actually met, and I'm going to tell that on a very near episode. It'll probably be 2 episodes from now. I'm going to tell the story because I told the guys last night the whole story, and you probably don't even remember, but it was very comical when you look back. Because I asked you if you would be on the show, or I asked you for...
Yeah, it was on LinkedIn, wasn't it?
And you were like, nah, I hate podcasts.
No? What the hell was it on?
No, it was on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yeah, and I asked you to check out our show and tell me what you thought, and you're like, I'm not the right person to ask. I hate podcasts.
Yeah, it was a mistake on my part.
Well, no, but then you did.
No, I shouldn't have even said that. Because it's the truth. It's just that I kind of at that point given up.
Yeah, well, I mean, but then I said, well,
now that I've seen you, it's like, oh my goodness, this is I'm entertained.
Well,
this is nice.
What I loved about it, though, was even though you didn't go check it out, I said, well, you've been doing what you're doing for so long. Do you have any advice? And you said, just be yourself.
Did I?
And I was like, all right. And then the other thing that you said, which was dead wrong, was you said you need to keep it to around 20 minutes.
Oh, well, if you were doing a cigar review, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just took that as being the whole show.
15. Yeah, but what you do isn't, you're not reviewing cigars.
We don't review.
That's what I thought you were doing.
Yeah, I got you. Well, I was like, well, it ended up we do quite a bit more than 20 minutes. But I also had that advice from someone else very early on. They were like, oh, limit it to 20 minutes. And that's just not possible.
Well, if you weren't entertaining, I would limit it to 2 minutes. But you are, and Brian. And you're fun to watch. I can't watch you in one sitting because your shows are like, 7.5 hours long?
It seems like they are.
But, I come back to them. Although while I'm a busy captain of industry at the moment, I do find time to seek out my peers and judge them cruelly.
Well, we appreciate that. Anytime you want to judge us, man, we love we love nasty comments left in the comments.
This is the reason
section.
I only have half a dozen sponsors on my website. It's because they all hate me. They read me. I may give them 20 good reviews of different blends they make. I give them one sucker. Oh,
you're the devil.
Cigar manufacturers are like children, man. I've come across all of them, and some of them have put it in writing in emails. I got some really famous cigar industry people yelling at me in an email, not realizing that on the phone, no record. You write it down, it's there forever, baby. So I've got they're just tearing me a new asshole because I just dissed their cigar big time, which was earned by them. It was a shitty cigar.
Right. You didn't make
That's my job, is to tell the truth.
That's right.
Dun, dun.
Captain Katman.
Catman, I hate that. Oh, it would have to be spelled. Catman would have to be spelled with a K.
Yes.
Oh my God, that's the most horrible thing I've ever heard.
It could have been worse.
You could. A lot of things could be worse, But I'm lucky. I'm lucky that we, at this late stage in my life, that we have made acquaintanceship. You give off the aura, Dora, of being a solid, good guy, and you're honest, and you're entertaining, and you're smart. And I'm having an affair with your wife, by the way.
Oh, well, hey, man, I got to wrap it up, but I want to say thank you. It's been a real pleasure. I look forward to talking to you again in the near future, and we will definitely have you back on. I
hope your readers don't pummel you with hate mail.
I get plenty of hate mail without you, so I'm used to it. Right. But anyway, look down in the show notes, and we'll have a link to the Katman cigar reviews. Go by, check it out. You're going to want to.
I put you on my website too. And for those of you that want to read me, well, you got the link. But it's Cigar Reviews by the Katman, and Katman with a K, one word. If I give you it's conehead.com, but it's like we are from France. But it's my last name is Kohn, and it's Hed, not H. You'll never remember. It's Katman. Thank you, Rob. It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure for me as well, and we will talk to you in the near future, man. Have a great day, man. We'll talk to you soon. Hey, guys. Hope you enjoyed the interview with the Katman. That's Phil. So, anyway, he's a character, man. He is. I visited with him an hour and a half on a Zoom call just like a couple of weeks ago, just shooting the shit.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean he's a cool dude, man. So anyway, we're gonna continue. Last week on the show, we played Stump the Chump with Bryant, and he failed miserably. So we're gonna give you the opportunity to shine and make Bryant look like a fool. We're just kidding. Everybody knows he is. So anyway, what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a cigar glossary term, and you tell me what it means. If you know. All right. If you don't, make something up that sounds good. And if it sounds really good, I'll tell you got it right. So the first term we're going to go with is transplanter.
Transplanter. That, I'm assuming, is moving a plant to a different spot.
Boom. Nice. The actual term, and I'm going to give you credit because, you don't have to be spot on. This is not, life or death. An agricultural implement used by tobacco farmers to plant large numbers of tobacco seedlings in a short period. And they have them in different rows, and then they dig channels after they put seeds in them. Then once they come up, they move those plants to other areas of the farm. And I don't know if you've ever seen the documentary done by Davidoff.
I started it. I haven't finished it yet.
It's long.
Yes.
What I did was I only watched the parts where the guy was on tour at the farm.
Right.
Because all that talking in between, I didn't care about. But it was very interesting. But they actually start their seedlings out in a little area that's all they do is go through the seeds and planting them.
Yeah.
And then once they grow like this tall, they get rid of the males. And so, because the males will ruin the plants.
Interesting.
Yeah. Just like we do in
everything else.
Right. So anyway, then once they get to a certain size, they would sort them and plant them out in the fields.
Nice.
It was very interesting, though. If you haven't seen that Davidoff documentary, it's worth a watch. I think you should get this one.
Okay.
Torsador.
Torsador is the cigar roller, like the premium
Bam.
cigar
Boom.
roller.
2 for 2. The technical definition is Spanish for cigar roller. So, bam. It's kind of easy, though, knowing that if you smoke McAuliffe cigars, because they actually have one celebrating the roller.
The Torsador.
Trumpet.
Trumpet?
Trumpet.
Is that a, I don't know. Is that a cigar Vitola?
So I'm going to give you credit on that one because that is exactly what it is. And the trumpet is where the fattest point is the foot, and it just continuously gets smaller to the shoulder.
Oh, okay.
So that's a trumpet.
Nice.
I mean,
so kind of like the Papas Fritas.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And I didn't even know that. Here's another one, Trippa.
Trippa.
That's spelled Tripa. But it's actually pronounced Tripa.
Tripa. All I can think of is it has something to do with three. Three of something.
Well, you're not far off, but you're not going to get credit for that one. It's inside premium cigar. A combination of tobacco leaves make up the binder and the filler and the wrapper.
Okay.
Which is 3.
Right.
But yeah, I like that you came up with 3.
I mean, that's 3, triangle.
Now this one might throw you. Tube.
Tube?
Tube.
Just tube.
Tube.
Well, I mean, there's many cigars that come in a tube.
Bam, he gets another one right.
All right.
See, I tried to trick you on that
I
one.
mean, a lot of them call them tubos.
Right? Okay. Vega.
Vega. I'm assuming it's a plant, but Vega is also. Is it 5? I don't know.
Well, you have the 5 Vegas.
Yeah, the 5.
No, I don't know if that has anything to do with this.
Right.
Well, you know what? I bet it does. Once I tell you what it means.
Okay.
Another word for a tobacco plantation. And I bet 5 Vegas comes from there was 5
plantations
all working together.
Yep.
Huh. Very interesting. All right. The next one is Viso.
Viso. I've heard this one. I can't remember what it means, but I have heard that term before.
Viso is priming of the filler tobacco. On the plant, Viso is below the Ligero, making it less intense than the Ligero by comparison, and stronger than Seco.
Okay, that's where I've heard it, because I heard that part on the Davidoff.
Ah, see, I don't even remember that.
Yeah, it was in the first 15 minutes. That's the only part I've seen.
Well, I jumped around, so I probably missed a lot. But it's like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it's long.
The next one is Vista.
Vista. I don't know what it would mean in a cigar term. I mean, a vista is a view.
And that's I can't let you get that one. Sorry. When opening a cigar box, the inner portion of the lid is the vista. And the vista is often adorned with brand artwork.
That makes sense.
I mean,
so,
yeah.
There's the view.
I mean, I get that was a close guess. Wilting.
Wilting is the more or less dying of the leaf. I mean, it's drying out.
Yeah, because you said drying out, I'm going to give that to you. It's after the stalk cut tobacco has been harvested, it is laid on the ground to wilt in the sun.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So here's one that I think you're going to have troubles with. Yankee Hinge.
Yankee Hinge. Oh, I mean, I'm a Yankee, so it's got to be a hinge that's just not right. It's probably on.
I'm going to read this to you, and then we will decide. But tobacco barns in the Connecticut River Valley are constructed with long boards called Yankee hinges, which are open to increase airflow. So, see, no credit there. The next one is wheel.
Wheel?
Just wheel.
I mean, a wheel. It's a round wheel. It rolls around.
Yeah, that's not going to fly. It's the measurement of 100 cigars in a bundle.
Okay.
Bryant last night had half wheel, which is 50 cigars.
Okay.
So he said it was a place that writes cigar reviews, which is also correct.
That is true.
But I didn't give him credit. Stalk cut.
Stalk cut is cutting from the stalk instead of pulling from the root.
A method of harvesting tobacco where the whole plant is cut at once, as opposed to selecting primers from the plant harvested in succession over a period of days. After a plant has been cut from the stalk, it is allowed to wilt. The plants... Let's see. My printer cut off on the edge here.
Uh-oh.
So the planters are with wooden lathes and hung upside down. Okay, we talked about that last night.
Yeah, so they dry out.
One of the term lathe, I mean, we all know what a lathe is.
Right.
But the term for them is actually in the processing basically a big, thick wooden pole.
Okay.
Which looks like it's been turned on a lathe.
Right.
And anyway, that's what they hang the plants on up in the roofs. You've seen them.
So they can dry.
Right. So I didn't know that. All right. Spill.
Spill?
Spill.
Well, it sure can't just be as simple as spilling.
No. So I know you're not going to get this one.
No,
so
I'm not.
It's a thin strip of Spanish cedar used to light a cigar in the traditional manner.
Okay, well, that's how I light all my cigars.
Do you really?
Yes.
I used to do that, and then I got lazy.
Oh, that's...
I know. It takes it to another level. It really does.
I don't think there's a wrong way to light a cigar other than doing it with a Bic lighter.
I don't even think there's a problem with that.
There's probably not, but if you have the time, it's just one of those things that I like to do. I like to toast my foot with the torch, and then I either light my cigar with a cedar stick or a match.
And you know what I have really started doing over the last probably 4 or 5 months is lightly toasting the foot.
Yep.
You don't want to just torch the shit out of the end of your cigar.
No, just barely kiss the flame on the foot, and I'm meticulous
I used to think
about
I
it.
had to get it just black all the way around.
No.
And it's like, I put my bread in a toaster. I don't leave it in there long enough for it to just be hard.
Right,
You know?
right.
So I was like, I'm going to lighten up on that. And I think it's been a lot better.
Nice. I typically do get mine black. I almost do like a preheat. And in doing so, it may just be coincidence, but I don't have to mess with my cigars as much. I don't have runners.
Toasting is like the precursor to smoking a cigar
Yeah.
because so many times I've said, if you don't toast the foot, you're just asking for problems.
Yep.
And the one thing I do make sure is that I singe the wrapper all the way around. Because if you don't, automatically you're going to just like want it to canoe.
Exactly.
So anyway, all right, man, here is your last question. Suckers.
They are small branches or growths on the bottom of a stalk.
Holy crap.
Bam.
Wow. Nice. Brian had that one last night, and he said that was Larry. And then Larry turned it around on him. Yeah, so we'll say this again. And I actually have heard this term before tobacco.
Yep.
Because tomato plants have those.
Olive trees.
I didn't know that.
Almost all trees.
Really?
A lot of trees grow suckers.
Anytime there is a growth at the where another branch has already come off,
right,
that's the sucker that's growing up right there.
Yes.
And it takes away the nutrients that limb should be getting.
Yes.
And so I just know from tomatoes that you got to always pull those.
Yep. I did a tour of a olive orchard.
Where was this?
San Antonio.
Oh, okay.
And they went into great detail about clipping the suckers off the bottom of the trees and why they do that.
So what do they make there?
Well, they make olive oil, of course, then different olives. They also made one of the best ice creams I've ever had in my life with olive oil.
Really?
It was phenomenal.
And was it just like a vanilla?
It was a vanilla, but it had a buttery taste to it that you get from the olive oil, and it was amazing. They also had one that was kind of had a little bit of a spice to it, and they used that in the ice cream as well.
Really?
And it was really interesting. It was very good.
You know what? I love old school ice cream.
Yeah.
And I don't really care for what they make at the store today.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I don't know anybody that makes homemade ice cream anymore.
I actually bought my mom an ice cream maker just to have homemade ice cream.
Dude, because it's not even the same.
No.
It's like, that's what ice cream should be.
That's what our grandmother did.
Right.
She was out there churning ice cream and putting rock salt in there and all the stuff, and took 2 hours to make a bowl of ice cream.
Right. But it was the best ice cream.
Best ice cream you had.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rudy Tooty, fresh and fruity.
Bam. So anyway, man, we're going to run after we talk about, who have we not talked about? McAuliffe Cigars. We are so honored to be sponsored by them. And, we have a unique history with them because that was the first cigar company that let us come to their headquarters and do a show from their headquarters and give us a tour of the headquarters. And we just developed a very good relationship ever since then.
Yeah.
And so it's been a blessing to be sponsored by them. I was talking about this with somebody yesterday. I think it was Vic. And it was like, they're one of the few companies that have a cigar line that will accommodate anybody's palate.
Anybody. And
Because
price range.
You're going to find a cigar that you enjoy in their line.
Definitely.
I know I've got at least 3 or 4 of my go-to sticks that come from McAuliffe.
Yes.
And my biggest 2 go-tos are McAuliffe's. The Connecticut. Have you smoked the Connecticut?
Oh, a bunch of times.
Okay. I mean, that was really the second Connecticut after the La Galera that I was like, oh man, this is doing it for me. And so that Connecticut, and then of course the Medallia. I mean, can't go wrong.
Can't
with
go
that
wrong.
One. Are you a big fan of that cigar?
I like the Medallia. Now, I like the Petite Corona because that's a stick that I tend to smoke.
Really?
It's a quick smoke, a 45-minute smoke.
Yeah.
That's been my go-to.
Okay.
And for $6, I mean.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
you
a
can't
great
go wrong.
stick.
I mean, dude, if you can find a blend of that quality at $6,
At $6 and a quick smoke.
Yeah,
That's great.
and that's one of the things I never have in my humidor enough is a quick smoke.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like every time I open up my humidor, I'm like, I don't have an hour, but I've got 40 minutes. And then I don't want to light a cigar and waste it.
Yeah, I've got a box of Churchills, but I don't have any Petite Coronas.
Exactly. So I've been trying to add a few more short smokes into my humidor.
Yeah.
And then the price is $4 to $42.
$4 to $42.
And I mean, so any budget, any skill level, I mean, I'll say that fortunately for me, I was really just getting into the non-full bodied ass kicking cigars when I met the McAuliffe family.
Yeah.
And it was the perfect line of cigars to actually tour the entire facings. I think, do you know how many they have? Is it like 16?
15 now.
15. So, I mean, it's a great journey to smoke all of them
Yep.
if you can. And I found so many cigars I really enjoyed, and I found some that are just my absolute go-tos.
Yeah. I think it's 15 facings and over 40 Vitolas.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something for everybody.
And not very many people can pull off that size of a line and keep the construction spot on.
Quality control is excellent.
And that's, I mean, that is so important in cigars. So many people don't do it. And, you know, it just pisses me off.
Yeah. And on top of that, they have that ambassador program, which, I mean,
Yeah, we have a link in the show notes. If you're not a McAuliffe ambassador, sign up. They send you a coin. And, I mean, there's so many opportunities.
Definitely.
They do more for their ambassadors and consumers of any cigar company that I know. I mean, they have so many things going on for you guys.
at least 2 drawings a week with your bold moment contest and then your passports. They incentivize you to smoke their cigars. You can win money.
You
I've
noticed-
won a ton.
Yeah, we know. I have never won any. I'm not allowed, which is complete BS.
Oh, well, you know, I enjoy
Photo
the perk.
contest, I'm all about.
Right. It's a blast.
So, but I can't win.
And then, you know, they're just so involved. I mean, everybody, Sam Spencer, Amanda McAuliffe, Al McAuliffe, Dan
I
Thompson.
watched Sam and Amanda on one of their live shows.
Yeah.
I mean, they produce a ton of content.
Right.
And they just give you, like I was saying earlier, I want to know who I'm buying cigars from. There's no other company that is as transparent as they are.
No one. I mean, they're so involved every single day. They're liking, commenting on every post, creating content.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I see Dan like one of my pictures on Instagram, and I'm like, wow.
And not only does he like, but he generally comments.
Right.
Takes time out of his day to say, hey, thanks for smoking our cigars. Looks great. What'd you think of that?
Yeah, and he wants honest feedback.
He does.
So anyway, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this week's show. And until next time,
Keep smoking.
boom.